Edward III decided to repudiate the truce in the summer of 1345, a full year before it was due to run out. As part of his larger strategy, a force was dispatched to Brittany under the joint leadership of the Earl of Northampton and John of Montfort. Within a week of their landing in June, the English had their first victory, when Sir Thomas Dagworth, one of Northampton's lieutenants, raided central Brittany and defeated Charles de Blois at Cadora near Josselin. The follow-up was less impressive. Further operations were delayed until July, when Montfort attempted to recapture of Quimper. However, news had reached the French government that Edward's main campaign had been cancelled, and they were able to send reinforcements from Normandy. With his strengthened army, Charles of Blois broke the siege. Routed, Montfort fled back to Hennebont, where he fell ill and died on the 16th of September. The heir to the Montfortist cause was his 5-year-old son, John. During the winter, Northampton fought a long and hard campaign with the apparent objective of seizing a harbour on the north side of the peninsula. Edward III had probably planned to land here with his main force during the summer of 1346. However, the English achieved very little for their efforts. Northern Brittany was John of Penthièvre's home region, and resistance was very stiff. In the end, Edward decided upon Normandy as the landing spot for his 1346 campaign. Northampton was recalled and Thomas Dagworth was appointed as deputy lieutenant. It was during a tour through the English strongholds on the 9th of June that Dagworth and his escort were trapped by Charles of Blois and his army near Saint-Paul-de-Léon. They dug in on a hilltop and fought off attacks until nightfall, when Charles was forced to retreat, leaving many of his wounded behind. At this point, events outside Brittany started to have an effect on the war. The French suffered a major defeat at the Battle of Crécy in 1346 and at Calais in 1347. Without French support, Charles of Blois gradually began to lose ground to the English captains. The memory of the massacre of Quimper increased his unpopularity, and Breton traders had an economic interest in strengthening links to England due to Brittany's strategic position between the Atlantic and the English Channel. At the Battle of La Roche-Derrien in 1347, when Dagworth's relief army, less than 1/4 the size of the French force, arrived at La Roche-Derrien, they attacked the eastern main encampment and fell into the trap laid by the Duke Charles. Dagworth's main force was assailed with crossbow bolts from front and rear, and after a short time, Dagworth himself was forced to surrender. Duke Charles, thinking he had won the battle and that Brittany was effectively his, lowered his guard. However, a sortie from the town, composed mainly of townsfolk armed with axes and farming implements, came from behind Charles's lines. The archers and men-at-arms who remained from the initial assault now rallied with the town's garrison to cut down Charles' forces. Charles was forced to surrender and was taken for ransom. His strict orders to his commanders to stay in their encampments was his eventual downfall, as the English forces managed to clear each encampment one by one. Charles was taken prisoner as he tried to recapture the town, which had just been taken by the English. He was jailed for 5 years in the Tower of London. The English controlled Brest, Quimper and Vannes.